What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for being part of the Capoeira community. It's awesome, this huge Roda of Capoeira. I think is awesome when more people join in, more people can be in the Roda, and the Roda is going to be even more fun and more energy. And since I've been focusing the last few episodes and on my Instagram and all that, and I like a lot everything about related about the capoeira music and the capoeira instruments, and I think that's a huge key, a very key for us capoeiristas, because that's how we transmit the energy in the hada, and I think it's just really cool how we get to that point. And I have the pleasure today to have the interview of somebody that make music. So let me introduce you to Instrutora Faishka. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing well. And yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your experience, especially music experience. And we'll get to that point when we start being specific on music. So how is capoeira around there?
COVID has really changed the pace of things here in South Florida, but it's also given us some incredible opportunities to strengthen our capoeira community.
Nice.
So I would say it's doing really well. To the degree at which it can, I think a lot of positive things have flourished from COVID. So
For sure. Yeah. A lot of people are getting even more connected because all the Zoom classes, online classes, and I think that's pretty cool.
Exactly. And I feel like at least the relationships that we're building, I participate in a capoeira training online on Zoom every Tuesday morning. And it's a bunch of girls from South Florida, but we also have girls from different states like Massachusetts. I think Massachusetts is the only other. Oh no, we have California.
So cool.
I think Texas, and we have just a bunch of girls that get together to train some really powerful women, and it's just been a space for us to like encourage each other,
For sure.
be disciplined. So I think that wouldn't have happened in the same way had COVID not occurred.
100%.
And honestly, I've developed some incredible relationships because of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And you get connected, you get new friends, and now whenever you go to those states, now you know who to visit.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so let's go back from the very beginning. Tell us a little bit of your story of capoeira and when you started and all that, so people can get to know you.
Yeah, it's kind of intertwined with like my life story, so I'm just gonna explain like kind of from the beginning. So I'm Brazilian. I was born in Brazil. I was born in Apucarana, Paraná. It's a very small town in the north of Paraná. My mom is from Paraná. My dad is from Espírito Santo. My dad always dreamed of living in the United States. And when he was 26, he accepted a job in Atlanta, Georgia. And I moved there when I was 6 months old. So I was raised kind of all over the place. My dad then accepted a job in Mexico City when I was 7. So when I was 7, we moved to Mexico. I lived in Mexico for 5 years. So
nice.
Una parte de mi corazón es mexicana. I'm super proud of like...
pero hablas español y todo, no sabía.
Sí. I mean, a part of me is Mexican. Like it's undeniable. I absolutely love Mexican culture, Mexican people. Everything that kind of, I grew up in half of my childhood in Mexico. So I also started riding horses when I was 8 years old, and I rode horses for 12 years. And I rode competitively in Mexico City. And then when I was 12, we moved back to the United States.
Oh, man.
So I had to like readapt to understanding what it was to be American, because it wasn't a part of who I was anymore at that point. And
those 12 years and you still a kid and adapting and learning and all that.
Exactly. So whenever I returned to the United States, I remember being like, oh my gosh, I have to leave this place. Like I need to go back to Mexico. Like that was kind of my goal. Right. And I actually stayed in the States from 12 to 23. And it wasn't until I was 23 that I moved to Brazil. And I moved to Brazil because I've always had Brazil in my household. My culture inside my house was always Brazil. My mom always cooked Brazilian food, always spoke to me in Portuguese. I would be reprimanded if I spoke to my mom in English. It was like a total offense.
Nice. Well, that's pretty good though. So you get to learn your real roots, you know?
Yeah. And so I had that like hunger to understand better who I was as a Brazilian.
Oh yeah.
And so I moved to Brazil when I was 23, and I lived there for 6 years. And then I came back to the States 4 years ago. But to pepper in also how capoeira fits in this. So I rode horses for 12 years. Yeah. When my horse passed, I had this big like hole in my life of like, what am I going to dedicate my life to? My horse was, so much of who I was kind of like embraced in horseback riding. And so there was kind of like this gap in my life. And I thought to myself, like, what discipline am I going to include in my life to kind of substitute horseback riding?
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money to horseback ride because that's something that my dad used to pay for. And once you're, at least for me, like as a grown woman, my dad doesn't pay for anything.
Well, usually like South America or Latinos, we are like, well, you're already 18, you paid for your stuff.
Exactly. And so horseback riding is an expensive sport, and I needed something that I could afford. And just about any sport is more affordable than horseback riding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I had a couple of friends in college that had started training capoeira on campus informally, and they invited me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't move like that. Like that's
usually,
so same. Out of my realm.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was like, just come and you can translate the Portuguese. And I was like, well, I can do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's easy for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy for me. I can do that. And so I went, and I remember I learned how to ginga on the first day. It was super hard, and I literally never stopped. And that was when I was 20. Now I'm 33.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. So it's already like 13 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's awesome. And you started with Malés that day?
No, I started, so the group on campus, like, wasn't a group. It was just like an instructor that had trained capoeira for a long time. I don't even know what group he was. I only trained with him for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I joined Ginga Mundo because they had a group in Marietta led by Scudi. I think he was Instrutor Scudi, which unfortunately he's no longer in capoeira. He was a really, really great capoeirista. And then when I moved to Brazil, I joined Grupo Capoeira Brasil. And was under that group for a couple of years. And then whenever I moved back to the States, joined Maculele.
Nice.
And then stayed in Maculele for a couple of years, and I was training here in Miami. And then my contramestre parted from that group. So I just stayed with the group that I was training here, and they assimilated into Capoeira Malés.
Oh, cool. Okay. Nice. Well, at least you stay there with your contramestre, and you just straight with the same person.
Yeah. I think, we created a strong relationship.
Yeah, that's one important.
So to me, it just made sense to continue doing what I was doing.
100%, yeah. And once you find that, like, let's call it supervision, right? So that person that you look up to, and as a friend and all that, is like, man, it's just like a different, it's just like brotherhood, or like, like that's the family sense of in capoeira. So it's somebody that is gonna support you. Yeah. If you go left or right, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's perfectly said.
Yeah, because I've been under few supervisions, and same thing in Capoeira Brazil, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know, I'm not feeling this. Until now, I feel very, very good with the supervision I'm under too.
That's great, and I think it's important. I remember, so I trained under Contramestre Cavallo y Professora Venus. And it's been actually really awesome to have like both a female and male leader.
Nice.
I think that dynamic, I think especially as a woman, there's a certain amount of vulnerability that there's a limit to how much I personally want to be vulnerable to like another man. I'm married, so I don't want to, be texting, some other guy, like asking it. I don't know. I just think it can be misinterpreted.
For sure. Yeah.
Regardless of the person. It's just kind of my choices as a married woman, and having Vanlos as somebody who is a woman. So there's no limit to what I can talk to her about or what time I can text her. And I remember one night, I don't watch a lot of TV at all. Nice. I actually I have a short attention span for that type of entertainment. So whenever my husband watches TV, I'll just lay on the couch and watch videos of Roda de República for like hours.
Nice. Those Rodas are good.
Yeah. And I remember I was just sitting there watching a video, and I literally texted Vanlos at like 11:30 at night. And I was like, I'm so frustrated with my capoeira. I want to get better. What do I need to do? Or I just texted, and we weren't even at this point like that close yet. So it was just, I was really going out on a limb to like message her, and she gave me like some feedback and just started to show up in a really different way for me.
That's pretty cool. So that pretty much opened the door to the better.
100%. And I think that when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and be transparent. That's the word. Yeah. And I think that whenever you take feedback and you're disciplined to apply it, whoever is mentoring you is going to be super encouraged, because there's nothing worse than like trying to mentor someone and then you see they don't use what you're saying, and you're just like, well, why am I going to say anything?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, why do they need to do that? It's like, why? Yeah.
So I've always felt that responsibility to my mentors of taking what they give me and multiplying it by 10, like minimally. Yes. Or putting in the work, because I realize how valuable their time is. I realize how valuable their experience is. And I 100%. Want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of it, and that they see that I'm giving them that value as well.
100%. Because it's no point for somebody to tell you like, hey, this is how this works. I think you should do it this way. And then you do it the other way. He's like, okay, whoa, I'm just wasting my time telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, same thing happens when you teach in class, right? Because you teach classes, right?
I don't formally teach classes. Okay. No. It's actually like not something I feel I have as a calling. Yeah. I will sporadically, if needed, teach classes. I'm part of a couple capoeira groups on like Zoom and WhatsApp. Nice. And so I remember I taught a singing class in one of the groups, and I was happy to do it, but it's not something that I like desire to pick up on like a recurring basis.
Yeah. And that's everybody's choice. But my point with that was, like sometimes you try to teach something to somebody, like, and they look at you like, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, man, you're in the class, do it.
That's why, like, to me, teaching is a gift. It's not my gift, because I would be like, you don't want to do it? Like,
get the face. Like, come on, go do it. Just do it. Shut up. Yeah. And now start tapping a little bit into the topic of the podcast, which is music. And honestly, music, I'm originally from Venezuela. And the way I learned Portuguese was through music. Because when YouTube came around, it was no lyrics, nothing of that on YouTube. So you have to like listen, pause the music, try to write it, pause it, and then if you can kind of like match it. And that's how I learned Portuguese. And then of course, until I went to Brazil and started speaking Portuguese and all that. But music is such a like really, really important key in capoeira, because through music you can do everything, and you don't have to be an amazing capoeirista doing flips and all stuff to do music. And you just like, that's how you transmit the energy, right? And in the Roda, through instruments and through voice. And what are your thoughts about the music before we start tapping into like singing?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to like preface this by saying I'm not an expert at capoeira music.
For sure.
I'm just here to share what I've learned and the experience I've had, which has been like really, really incredible.
Nice.
So your question is, what is my thoughts about music in capoeira?
Yeah.
I feel like music in capoeira is super important. It's like the foundation of the energy behind which we build for the Roda. Yes. So it's such a massive influence to not only what happens, but also directing what can happen in the Roda and directing the energy. And you can sing about what's happening, or yeah. There's so many messages that you can sing through, that you can transmit through not only your lyrics, but also the intention or the energy that you put behind your singing. So we call it Instrutora in Portuguese. So it's nice. Okay. It's not just what you're saying, but almost like the tone or the energy or the fluctuation of your voice. There's so much that you can say. Almost like when you can go to someone and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or you can say, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah. And you're you're saying two different things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of different messages that can be sent. And I think that that's what makes it so complex, and why I emphasize that I'm not an expert. I feel the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. Yeah. So, but it's also a super empowering space, a really beautiful thing to connect with, and it feels so much bigger than yourself. Nice. When you're connected to it.
Yeah, and it's not sure how to explain it, because it's really cool when everybody's sync in the Roda and singing on the right tone with the right energy. It just gives you goosebumps, and it's just like you just want to keep moving and moving and moving. It makes everybody in the Roda jump, and I've seen people cry in the Roda just singing. It's just like different level. It's a different connection.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of responsibility.
100%. Oh yeah.
Musically. And I think it takes some time to develop comfort in that area, which I'm still working on. Because really you're in a leadership position when you're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're setting up the energy for everybody in the Roda. Yeah. So it's like if you go a little bit off, everybody's not trying. It's like, what happened? What just happened here?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like it'll be a blimp on the radar. Like people pick up. They're like, oh. Yeah. They might not know. Sometimes people don't know exactly why they're not feeling connected, but a lot of that, if not 99% of it, is the responsibility of the person who is bringing the energy and conducting it. Yeah.
Because it's the same way when you feel the energy started kind of like coming down, and that is also a responsibility of the person singing the Roda.
Yeah, and I do feel like, to be fair, I do believe that the students and just the chorus, just everybody who's not on the instrument, has a really big responsibility to sing and bring their energy. And I think that in capoeira, sometimes as a beginner, you can take some time to figure that out. You're like, oh, I'm just here to like clap hands and sing. But no, you're actually a fundamental instrument to making this thing happen. So there's an orientation that's, of course, ingrained and developed in people who are growing in capoeira, and people who have been in capoeira for as long as you and I are or have been. We realize that, and we understand the responsibility that we bring to the Roda. But essentially, to me, the person who is singing and playing the instruments, they are like the conductors of that.
Yes. Yeah. They are the channel of that energy, and for everybody to sing and contribute to that energy. Yeah. And now getting into specifically to singing in the Roda, right? So have you ever write songs and all that for how do you get to that?
I mean, I've personally written a song. Yes. Yeah. I'd love to share a little bit of the story behind that, because I think it's kind of eye-opening or interesting. I actually tore my labrum in 2017. Nice. So it's basically the cartilage on your hip. I was doing the leg press, the one that you like are inclined at the gym and you have to like push up. Yeah. And I'm very flexible, and so I think that the weights just whenever my leg came down, I think it just pinched my cartilage and pulled it out. And so cartilage is not vascularized, so you actually can't just heal cartilage. it has to be medically reattached. And so I had hip surgery end of 2017, right after Hurricane Irma.
Oh man.
Here in Florida. And I was going to be out of the game for 6 months to a year to be able to recover mobility. It was a very intense recovery. 2 weeks after my surgery, I was already back in the academy. I would come with my uniform and I would bring my instruments, and I was like, I'm just going to play music while everybody trains.
Nice.
And so I started playing music, and I remember at the time, one of my colleagues at the academy, Shikochi, he was leading a music class. And so I would go I think it was like every Tuesday or something. So I would go every Tuesday, and he started to really challenge me with my voice. And I was super uncomfortable. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sing. I would sing kind of softly, and
like inside.
He'd be like, I think I hear something. And he'd be like, more.
Yeah.
And he was super like, he was never like soft about it. He was just like very objective.
Yeah.
And he's like, menina, para de ter vergonha, tipo, canta logo, like loosen that voice, like go sing, do it. Blah, blah. And he kept on putting me in this spot to start singing. And I started to develop a little bit more comfort around hearing my voice. Like I didn't even feel like I had a good voice. I just felt like, okay, well, I sing on tone. Right.
Yeah.
And so I would absolutely not sing in front of my husband. I was like super embarrassed to sing in front of him. He actually sang in the worship band for our church in Brazil. And prior to that, he has
a voice.
He has a voice. Yeah. And he has experienced singing. So I felt like, of course he doesn't judge me at all, but it was on my head. And I'm like, oh, I don't want him to hear me. So I would always like sing away from him, wait for him to leave the house, and then I could sing.
Yeah.
And then when I was in capoeira, o grupo Malês, né? Malês não, Maculelê.
Yeah.
And they had a singing competition in Atlanta. They had a song competition. And they were like, you can sing a open domain song, or you can sing a song that you write. And I remember at the time someone challenged me and was like, well, you're going to write a song, right? Like you're not going to sing like an open domain song. And I was like, yes, I'm going to write a song.
But do you say that because you wanted to write a song, or you was like, yes, I'm going to do it?
No, it was like, if anybody challenges me to anything, I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it.
Nice. Okay.
So I mean, I've heard a couple people on your podcast talk about this before, about how like, if anything brings you fear, that's what you need to tackle.
Yes. Yeah.
So
one of those was my wife.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I feel that way as well. And I felt intimidated by it.
Nice.
And so I was like, okay, well, this is obviously something I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so I started working on a song, and I probably worked on it for like 6 months. And kind of started to etch it. My husband helped me. I have a friend in Brazil that also helped me. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, or that at least I didn't realize, is that music is composed a lot of times with like a conjunction of people. Like there's collaboration, and you actually get a much stronger song if you collaborate. And so the music we hear on the radio, you know, that's sung by whoever, that artist didn't write all that song and compose it and fine tune it all by himself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
He had other professionals that were able to look at his lyrics, or look at the harmony of the song, the melody of the song, and say, hey, I think this would sound a little better. Let's think about what beat this sounds good, etc.
Yeah.
And so, I composed the song, and I showed up for the competition.
Nice.
And my husband had taught me how to warm up my voice, which is something we can also talk about.
Yes.
How fundamental vocal warm up is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I will definitely use those techniques before the Roda.
Yeah, no, for sure. Everybody should.
Yeah.
And I showed up for the competition. I remember we had a full day of workshops. So it was workshop, roda, canto, tipo, a super intense day of event. You know, we had mestres, contra mestres, professores from like all around the globe there. It was like a very incredible event. And I remember the singing competition was at night. So
were you nervous? Are you like?
Well, I was nervous, but even, you know, before thinking about being nervous, I was like, I need to preserve my voice. Like I need to be able to sing at night, and I need to be able to sing and sound good, you know? And so every time we were in the hall during that whole event, I would sing like
pretty soft. Yeah.
And like just putting the class and like whispering my songs, because I was like, this is like my moneymaker. Like, I need it for tonight, you know? And so I was nervous for when it was my time to go up and sing. And I remember I had called my husband. He didn't go with me to Atlanta. I was by myself, and I called him and I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, what do I do? Cool. Like, do you think I need it? And I was like fine tuning the technique. I was like, you know, do you think on this part I should do this, or on this part I should do that? And he was like, Julia, calm down. Like literally you have practiced this for months. He was like, go have fun. Go have fun. If you need to.
So cool.
I remember he told me this and it helped me so much. He said, if you need to, close your eyes. Close your eyes and connect with what's important to you. Connect with how you feel about the song. Forget about what people think about you.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, like one really big word for me in life is have fun. It's something I just identify. Like I'm a person, like whatever I do in life, I want to be having fun. Like fun is like, fun is king. So
oh yeah. That opens up for so much, you know.
Yeah. And so it's kind of one of those words that's like a trigger word that like immediately releases my stress, is like, go have fun. And so whenever I got up to sing, you can even see, if you look at the video on YouTube, when I'm about to go sing, I go, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And then I immediately just told myself, it's almost like you're jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, I'm so nervous. And then you're just like, I'm going to jump off right now. It's like a spontaneous, like you just go.
Yeah.
And so I was like so nervous. And then I was like, I just stopped for a second and I was like, I'm diving now. And at that point I started singing and everybody got like quiet. And then I like closed my eyes and got into it, and I heard everybody's reaction to it. Like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah.
And it was the first time I sang in public, which
was the first time?
It was the first time I'd ever sang
cool.
in public.
Nice.
So it was really incredible. Now, when I look back, when I first heard the video, because one of my friends recorded it. I was like, is that me?
Oh man, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
I was like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, did they do something to the microphone?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I was almost in disbelief because it sounded so nice.
Yeah, you know? That's awesome.
Yeah. And after that, I have never taken singing classes. And I started to say like, wow, like this is something I want to invest in. And I remember when they went to go, right after I sang, Mestre from London, he was there. I think he's from London. The first question he asked me, he said, now tell me, do you do singing classes? And I was like, no.
Whoa, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
It was like the biggest compliment. I was like, wow, like, no, awesome. I've never done singing classes, but maybe I should, you know, to work on what I already have.
Yeah.
So I picked up singing classes actually a few months ago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, but when was the Atlanta event? You said 2018?
2018. It was like, I want to say it was like October.
Okay. Oh, it's not too far ago.
Yeah.
Nice. So, that's awesome. What is the title of the song?
Capoeira que é bom.
Nice. Oh, wait, I think you have that on your Instagram, right?
I do.
A little piece.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. And now what does the song talks about?
Well, the song, I wrote it from a standpoint of it was almost like a view of struggling but being able to overcome struggles and just how capoeira, somebody who is capoeira que é bom nunca cai.
Nice.
Se dia ele cai, cai bem. So capoeira who is good doesn't fall. On the day that he falls well.
Yes.
Nice. In the roda of capoeira e na vida também. Então, capoeira que é bom nunca cai. Se dia ele cai, cai bem. Na roda de capoeira e na vida também.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I can see why they ask you about the tones are so nice. That's pretty cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of effort too, right? Because you prepare for that and you put a lot of energy and a lot of time on that, and that's what it's about. You know, if you don't put the time and the effort, you're not gonna get good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And really the lyrics, and what I talk about throughout the song are just learnings and experiences that I've had. It's almost like me talking to myself. There's a part where I say, cabeça fria é clareza, malandragem e destreza, arame que esquenta não aguenta, destempera e arrebenta, faz o berimbau parar.
Nice.
So it's talking about how the importance of having a cool head in capoeira.
Yes. Not
allowing for things to get to you, because just like the arame of a berimbau, when it gets too hot, it ruptures because of, some people say it's bad energy or whatever, but there's a tension in the berimbau that if you exceed it, it can rupture the arame. The arame could be old or whatever. It could be multiple reasons, right? And so I thought, wow, that's really a learning for us as capoeiristas. How do you make it so that your arame isn't rupturing, right, or breaking?
And the berimbau just stops.
Exactly, and the berimbau stops. So I think I was also in the process of learning that, and so I wanted to create a song that I could remind myself of the importance of having a cool head in capoeira and how that serves to you as a massive advantage.
100%. Yes.
If you're in the roda with a cool head.
Yeah, especially in those times, those games where they get a little bit intense, or because sometimes happens in the roda where you have a game and unintentionally it gets a little intense, and sometimes it's just that one little kick that's going to spark the fire, and then you, like you said, you start getting your head like too warm, and then you get too intense too, and then that's actually pretty good. I like it. I'm actually gonna talk to my students, because my students they get especially at the beginning, the first 2 years you start learning the process of the game, the flow of the game, and they get desperate, and when you're like, hold on, calm down. That's actually pretty good.
The second kind of quadra of the song is Vem com o coração aberto. Vem com o coração aberto que a mandinga vai soltar. Como bom prato caseiro, só com o tempo dá tempero, faz o corpo vadiar. So what is that saying? Come with an open heart. Em coração aberto, que that the mandinga is going to loosen up in you.
Yeah.
Like a good homemade dish, it takes time for the seasoning to sink in.
100%.
So that's also like exactly what you just said. Be patient. You don't need to explode your head. Be patient. Your tempero is gonna come with time.
Yes.
Just hang out, have fun, play a lot, expose yourself a lot, and you'll have that tempero, your own, signature mark to capoeira, and your confidence and your comfort. It's gonna come.
100%. Yeah, because it takes time to develop the game, to understand the game and when to be fast, when to be slow. And like you said, it's just time to let it marinate, and then that's when it's going to be ready. And sometimes you don't even know when it's ready. I'm still figuring out when it's gonna be ready.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How about you? Have you composed? Have you? Do you like singing or?
It's funny because the same. I started. So to answer your question, I never composed a song. I haven't find that point where I can find that inspiration, and I would like to, but right now I'm focusing, I'm learning how to project that energy. And because I started teaching like 8 9 years ago, but the first time I was singing was like you said, I was singing like, I think the first time I was singing was like CCC now now now, and I was like, oh CCC,
Yeah, super shy.
yeah, and it was just like three of us, and the instructor on that time, he was like, dude, you, I can hear you, we're playing berimbau and I can barely hear you, sing louder. Okay, oh CCC, oh yeah. And then just like a little bit up, and he was like, oh okay.
Yeah.
And eventually, and singing the harder and singing the harder, and now I feel a little bit comfortable more singing the harder. I still struggle to memorize some songs, but practicing and listening the song and listening and writing it, that's a better way for me.
I would love to share like some things that could help you, because I feel like a lot of people are in the stage that you're at.
Yes.
So one thing is singing to children is
Cool.
something that's really helpful to build up confidence, because they are just so innocent and so pure that they're going to be like super excited that they're singing a song with you.
Nice.
And so I remember my friend had taken me to help lead a class, a children's class, and he wanted me to sing a children's song. And so I sang to like 30 children.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I think, I can't remember if I was playing the berimbau or not while I was singing. I think I was. But I was like, I remember feeling like really nervous about singing in front of people, and kind of like what you said, like, oh, I'm not going to project my voice as much because it's like uncomfortable. But the children, they're not really thinking so much about like breaking down how you're singing. You know what I mean?
If you have like, time or
see. They're like looking up.
yeah.
And then, but they're little human beings. So in a sense, it's almost like a stepping stone to singing in front of like adults.
Nice. Okay.
Who have, more thoughts about what maybe you're sounding like.
Yeah.
Another suggestion is singing to pets. So
cool.
Dog or a cat or a bird.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to practice singing in front of like a living being, because you just kind of feel like there's somebody else in the room. And so it can start to help break some of those, like tension.
Shyness. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And then slowly build up to singing with your school as well, or in the Roda.
Yeah, nice. And now to getting into the point of like warming up the voice. Because we talked before of those tips to warm up the voice. How do you warm up the voice?
So vocal warm up is so important. Again, I think it's a pretty extensive explanation to go through all of it, but the difference between singing without vocal warm-up and singing with vocal warm-up is simply expanding the richness and texture of your voice. Okay. So we can give an example that we all relate to, which is warming up for physical training. So if I were to say, go and do 5 front walkovers without warming up, you might pull a muscle. It you could really injure your back. But if that's like a technique you already know how to do, and you're good at tumbling or whatever, you're gonna be like, okay, give me like 10, 15 minutes. Let me warm up. Let me do some jumping jacks. I'm going to jog around a little bit, and be it, a front walkover, a back handspring, be it even capoeira kicks, your reach and your flexibility are exponentially increased because 100%. Of your warm up. So we all know that, and we all do that, right? Yeah. And we even warm down. So sometimes you do like a cool off, something to help kind of calm down your muscles after like an intense training. Yeah. So the same thing goes for your voice. Especially in capoeira, we almost never have microphones. So we're literally projecting our voice as strong as we can. Yes. And without vocal warm up. Yeah. So has it ever happened to you that after singing your voice is sore? Like your throat is sore?
Yeah, and dry throat and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all things that you can develop techniques to not have to feel that, or at least to like drastically reduce it. So the warm-ups, I can share like a couple of warm-ups. They're kind of silly, to be honest. It feels a little bit silly when you're doing it, but it's really just how your vocal cords start to get worked up. So ideally, if you're going to sing, you shouldn't be like screaming a lot or talking too much before you warm up, before you're going to sing. You can even warm up by like starting to massage your throat, massaging your jawline, stretching your neck.
Yeah.
Those are all to kind of help relieve some of the tension in your shoulders. All of your muscles throughout your face are used when you're singing. Your throat muscles are also highly engaged. And you can start by making a little sound, like, you know, when you're praying with cars, maybe, and like the sound of the engine, where you make your lips vibrate.
Yeah.
So you can just do that for, you know, a minute and a half with no sound. So when I first did this, it was kind of weird. Like I had a hard time doing it without projecting sound. I was like, how do you do without sound?
Impossible.
So that's what you can just go.
Okay.
Just that vibration of the lips for a minute and a half. And then you can start to add sound to it. So it's what I studied singing in Portuguese, so I'm not sure if this is the same technical word that it would be maybe in Spanish or English, but you start to add sound to it. So it's what's called glissando. So it's bringing up and down your voice. So and so you go up and then you go back down. Go up and you go back down. Now, super important is that whenever you're doing warm-ups is that you don't use like strength or intensity to do it. So you want to be really gentle in the way you're doing it. So you don't want to like be forceful and like make those sounds like super, super strong. You actually want to be as gentle as possible. So that you start to become familiarized with, you know, your vocal cords and what the sounds make. If you're feeling any sort of pain or discomfort, you're doing the wrong thing. So those are kind of like two kind of steps that you can take to start warming up. But I would definitely encourage everyone to look for like a singing professional. I have a singing teacher, which I'm more than happy to share her contact. She teaches in Portuguese. So she's in Brazil. So, but there's other singing teachers, or even you could look on YouTube, like vocal warm-ups, and there are options too. But all that makes a really big difference when you're singing, and also just conserving the health of your voice.
Yeah. For example, like it will take time to warm up, but let's say like you get to an open hut right on the street, or well, I guess you probably can warm up in the car, right, on the way there. But or after finishing a class, like because us as instructor, you teaching the class, you got to be talking all class, and I guess you can probably warm up the voice as you talk, but how can I warm up my voice or have my voice on a good point when at the end of the class or for the HADA, if I'm going to be talking?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's tough. First of all, even before you do a podcast, I think it could be interesting for you to warm up your voice, because you're talking for an hour straight. So it's literally, you could just spend like 5 minutes doing those 2 exercises that I shared with you.
Yeah.
And you'll feel a certain, just your voice gets a little bit more textured. It's really interesting, and it just becomes a little bit more comfortable to speak. If I were you and I was going to do a full class, I would warm up my voice before class. I would try not to project my voice too much if I know I'm going to sing at the end of class. So I feel like you have to kind of pick and choose. You can't be like yelling at your students and then, not that you do, maybe you do, I don't know.
No, I know.
You want to be careful with your voice if you're going to sing at the end of class. And if you're going to the Honda, I think everybody should warm up, because either you're singing chorus or you're singing on the berimbau. You should warm up. I always try to warm up my body and my voice before I go to the roda, because when you're at the roda, it's going to be a lot more challenging to warm up. You could step away from the roda if you like haven't warmed up, step away like 5 minutes, go warm up your voice and come back. And it just also depends on like the environment in which you're singing. For example, it's really important for your vocal cords to be hydrated when you're going to sing.
I was about to ask you that.
Drinking water right now doesn't hydrate my vocal cords. It just goes in y se va. What hydrates my vocal cords is drinking a whole cup of water an hour later. An hour to an hour and a half later, my vocal cords are going to be hydrated by the water I consume. So drink a bunch of water an hour and a half before you know you're going to use your voice a lot.
Oh, cool. Damn, I didn't know that. Okay.
Or even like those bala,
cough throat. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like these, I think it's Ricola, the one that has like a lot of herbs and
like that one is there's Halls too, right? Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Halls because I'm not a huge fan of like super artificial minty. I feel like they're too strong. Okay. But Ricola has like a lot of honey and natural herbs in it. And it's amazing. I literally, before we connected, I ate a teaspoon of honey.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. Nice. So honey helps a lot too. If you're like on the spot and you're like, I need a solution now. Like you'll actually see professional singers do that. So Christina Aguilera did a masterclass on singing, and she was sharing how during her concerts, she has a little plate of honey that she literally swoops up on her finger and like eats it in the middle of her concert to help her vocal cords.
Wow, interesting. I never knew that. Oh, cool. Okay. I want to keep a bottle of honey in my bag.
Yeah, you could.
Nice. Okay, cool. That's awesome. And to wrap it up a little bit, what would be a little advice for the capoeira community about music? Like what would be your advice for the capoeira community?
I think it would be the importance of like leaning in to study music. Right now I'm doing a course on samba de roda, with a school called Casa de Tapera from São Paulo. And it's so important for us to understand the foundation of music. And Brazilian music is very intertwined.
Yeah.
So samba has elements that you see in capoeira, that you see in música popular brasileira, música de trabalho brasileira, and all these different genres. They have a very intertwined past.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we sing a song in capoeira and we're like, oh, this is a great capoeira song. This song was written for capoeira. Most of them weren't. Most of the songs that we sing are songs that came from samba. There's songs that came from música de trabalho.
Yeah.
And I think it's when we understand the foundation of where those songs come from, we're able to sing with a greater connection and appreciation of what that song really means and where it came from. So I would just really encourage people to study, to lean into all types of Brazilian music, not just study capoeira music. Because not only is it going to help you appreciate and understand capoeira music better, but it's going to make you a better composer.
For sure.
So when you're exposed to different genres, different singers, and understand different elements of Brazilian music, you're going to become so much more capable in singing capoeira music and composing for capoeira music and learning about Brazilian culture through music. Yeah. So I think that that's a really helpful way that anybody could literally just pick up and start either listening to a playlist on Brazilian music, which I have one on my Spotify, by the way, which I'm happy to share.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I want to say my Spotify is Julia Lucidi 4, but I have a public playlist that is, it's actually just Julia Lucidi. Okay. And it's a playlist that just says Brazil, and it has a bunch of different Brazilian musics from like regional to samba, pagode, música popular brasileira.
Oh, cool. Okay.
even like some fusion music that they use Brazilian music. So I think it's a really helpful way to just really dive deep and look for resources and people who are more experienced than you to learn from. Right now, the way I'm doing that is participating in this course with Casa de Tapera. I've been studying with them for like 5 months now, and it's been incredible.
Nice. So what do you go over? Just like music, how to compose and stuff?
Yeah, no, that's a super good question. So it's very complete, and I'm only in the intermediates. Intermediary. I don't even know how to say that. Intermediario. I don't even know how to say. I lose English words sometimes. But
same.
So it's a school that teaches the foundations of samba de roda, do Recôncavo Baiano from Bahia. They teach you where it came from, you know, what's the history of it, how did it branch out into different regions of Brazil, what's the difference between samba de roda and what we do after capoeira rodas. A lot of times, roda de samba, né, que a gente chama de capoeira. And samba da Bahia, samba do Rio de Janeiro, samba de carnaval, pagode. What's all the, cool. How did these different variations come to be? So there's a lot of theoretical learning. And just understanding where it came from and the history behind it. And then we study a lot of music. I have a book of like 200 samba musics that we had to learn, practice. There was homework. We had to practice them in the class, and learning the context and how to use songs to answer somebody else's song, and kind of so cool, like the dynamics of samba de roda.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because usually, like you said, you said a very nice point of answering in the music. Because I've been on rodas where like the singers, they go just back and forth. It's super cool. In Venezuela, we also have those traditions where I forgot the name, but it's in Spanish, contrapunteo. It's just like back and forth. So a person sings something and the other guy answers with something, and it's just like a conversation through music. And it's super, super cool to see, and it's actually really cool to see in the roda too.
That's actually exactly how samba de roda works.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Yes, send me the Spotify link, and that way I can put it on the podcast. And so you also, to wrap it up, I said that like 2 times already, but it's just cool to talk about music and capoeira. You said that you have a music coming to a CD, right?
Right. So the song that I won first place in Makulele's event, I joined another competition that came around. Contra Mestre Monkey had a competition for an international CD that he's producing. And I also participated and was selected. So the song's going to be included on his international CD, along with a bunch of other incredible musicians and composers.
So cool.
So as soon as that's kind of published, I'm happy to share that news on my Instagram, so that people know and can check it out. And it's not just me. There's many other incredible songs. I mean, they're really astonishing. It's super worth it to go check it out and see all the kind of newer people in capoeira that are composing. And that was kind of the purpose of his project, was to encourage people to compose and really start to highlight some songs that are a little bit under the table still. Yeah.
That are not public. They just like keep it there. Nice. Yeah. All the information I'll put all the information on the Instagram and the YouTube once this is released on the YouTube.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Faishka. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast and share your music experience. It was really cool to learn
my pleasure. And I definitely wanted to congratulate you for what you're doing, because it's very cool. I think we all can come to capoeira and help it grow, help it evolve. And I think that the energy that you're putting behind this project is really incredible, and you're creating a space for awesome stories to be told. So congratulations, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and like I say this every podcast, like capoeiristas is even from day one until you can be doing capoeira 100 years, and is everything is an experience inside capoeira, and I want everybody to share here. It doesn't matter what capoeira style, group, I don't care. I care also about capoeira, right? That's the Roda.
That's what's up.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. And let's be in touch and talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers so we can give more information, okay? Please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like, okay? I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.